iHeart, get ready. Fantasy football is here. Welcome to the Scout Fantasy Show. ScoutFantasy.com is home to the Fantasy Football World Championships and the best players in the world. Real money winners giving their secrets to help you win. Now exclusively on iHeart. This is the Scout Fantasy Show with your host, the one, the only, Dr. Roto.
Guys, it's Dr. Roto. So get out the insurance cards, get out the copay. The office, it's open, my friends. All right, here we are. It's week 16. So what I'm going to do this week, or actually I'm going to do today, is I'm going to give you some news and notes, and then I'm going to give you a couple of guys on the waiver wire that you can look at. Now, if you want to see my real waiver wire picks or all my waiver wire picks, I encourage you to go to scoutfantasy.com, and that's where you see my entire list. And it's not a big list this week. It's a very short list, but I think a very good list. I do. I think it's a very good list. I'm looking at it right now. Look at that. There's my list. But I like it. But I'll give you a guy from my list here. Not everybody. A couple of guys here or there. But let's take a look at the news and notes. One guy who did not make my list, and he was up there, it was a possibility, was Paul Perkins. So I want to talk about this not only as a fantasy football expert, but also as a Giant fan. It's obvious, I think, to Giant fans and to fantasy football owners that Paul Perkins is a good, young, talented player. And people see this guy and they say to themselves, man, he's got speed, he's got quickness. And you look at the Giants and you say to yourself, this team is an offensive nightmare. This team can't get anything going. This team can't find the end zone. So why don't they play him more? And I think that there's basically two simple answers to this question. Well, three. The first was that Shane Vereen was in the way, but now he's back and retore his triceps. See you later. Shane Vereen's done. Bye. Okay. Got it. Here's the other two. One. Coaches trust veterans. They like veterans. They know that veterans have been there before and they'll be there again, and they see it and they get it and they understand it. Schemes and whatever it is, the pressure, the fourth quarter, whatever it takes, coaches trust veterans. It's true. So I'll tell you a very quick story, and maybe we can appreciate this or maybe not. But I think many of you know that I've coached high school volleyball for years. I coached both boys and girls. And I remember one year I had a boys team, and my starting setter was this 11th grader. And I trusted him because I knew him. But I also saw that there was this 9th grader who was really good. So what I did was, in the beginning part of the year, I let the junior play more. And I just brought the freshman along slowly. But I would say, actually part of the story is interesting. The junior had said, hey, coach, I think the freshman's better. And the truth was, the freshman was better. And we were all able to see that. So I took the junior out, put him on a different position. He was more of a defensive specialist. And I let the freshman be my full-time setter. We ended up winning the championship. And we were one of the top teams in the area. And I think part of that was, at the beginning, I didn't trust the freshman. I didn't know him. I knew he had ability. But I didn't trust him because I knew the other guy, right? I knew the other kid. And the other kid had played for me the year before. So I feel that way here with McAdoo. He knows what he has with Jennings. He knows that. Perkins, he doesn't know. But I think what you have to know is, man, this guy's got game. This guy plays well. This guy's got to get the football in his hands. And I'm going to give you back to the volleyball analogy. You always want your setter to be the best player on the team because the setter at every point in volleyball touches the volleyball, right? Pass, set, right? So same thing here in football. I want the ball in the hands of my best player. And I think Perkins is better than Jennings. He's better. So I think the first thing is the fact that McAdoo doesn't trust him. Secondly, pass protection. Pass protection. If you can't protect the quarterback, you can't play on the field. And I think that's Paul Perkins' biggest problem. I think that's his biggest problem. And if this kid wants to play more, he's got to get in the room, in the film room, and learn how to pass protect. And he's got to stay after in practice because I truly believe that this guy is the difference maker for the New York Giants this year. I really believe that. If this guy gets into that offense, he gives the offense another gear that it doesn't have right now. But if the coaching staff doesn't believe that this guy can pass protect, he's not going to play. And then you know who you get? You get Rashad Jennings. And we know what we get with Rashad Jennings, right? Crap on a stick. Not very good. Now, I know you get Giant fans who can be upset with me. Oh, Jennings not that bad. He's not very good. He's not very good. Please don't tell me Rashad Jennings is a good player. He's fine. You're not winning a Super Bowl with Rashad Jennings. Just not. Here, I'll help you out. Rashad Jennings, rushing this year. 75, 27, missed 3 games, 15, 25, 26, 87, 85, 55, 19, 45, 38. He hasn't gone over 87 yards in a game. He has 2 rushing touchdowns. I mean, really? Is this a great player? He had 1 good week against Chicago. He had 1 stellar week. That's a good player? Come on. He's got 497 yards rushing. That's not a great player. That's a guy who's on the downward side of his career. Right? Downward side. Paul Perkins, I want to see what he can do. Since week 9, 32, 31, 16, 29, 38, 45, 56. I want to see what this kid can do. I think we all do. But if you can't pass protect, you can't get the confidence of your coach, you can't get the confidence of your coach, you can't play. There you have it. There you have it in a nutshell. Right there is the reason why you don't see Paul Perkins there. Okay? So in other news and notes, Jordan Reed is expected back, but man, I don't know if I agree with that. I think they're going to have to see whether or not they're in contention. As soon as they're not in contention for a playoff spot, as soon as that happens, then he's done. Because I think he goes in for surgery. I do. Ladarius Green is in the league's concussion protocol. It looks like he's not going to play against the Ravens. And that's a problem. And then who do you have? Jesse James, baby. Jesse James. Or Eli Rogers. Let's not forget Eli Rogers. Okay? So, another piece. The Eagles placed Kenyon Barner on the injured reserve. He's done. So the Eagles lost Kenyon Barner. They signed Terrell Watson to the practice squad. So there's no Barner, there's no Smallwood. So it's all Matthews and Sproles over the last 2 weeks. And yeah, I'm not thrilled. We'll talk about Matthews tomorrow when we preview the game. But Darren Sproles is practicing in full. Okay, he's practicing in full. Melvin Gordon says he wants to play, but I don't know. Is there any good reason that Melvin Gordon should be playing right now? This is where I find I decide whether I like coaches or not. I decide if I like coaches on a few things. First of all, are they upfront with their injuries? Right? Next, do I like how they call the game? Next, do they have the respect to their players? And then finally, are they thinking about their players' health? Because I look at Melvin Gordon. The Chargers ain't going anywhere. The Chargers are not going any playoffs. Melvin Gordon has done a great job Is there a reason he needs to play the next 2 weeks? How about Melvin? Thanks for what you did this year. You are amazing. Take it easy, bud. We got Kenneth Farrow and Ronnie Hillman. We'll be good. Now, I know players want to play. I get that. But have you seen what Melvin Gordon did this year in terms of touches of the football? Seriously. Touches of the football. Ready? Week 1, 14. This is rushing. Just forget receiving. 24, 16, 19, 16, 27, 22, 23, 32, 24. That goes along with receptions. So in week 9, he had 36 touches. In week 8, he had 27. In week 10, he had 29. That's a lot of touches. I don't feel that Melvin Gordon needs to be touching this football anymore. Guy had 254 attempts, and he had 41 receptions. So that's 296 touches. Let's shut him down. He's 23 years old. He doesn't need the touches. You're not winning anyway. So what do you need him out there for? Seriously, what do you need him out there for? You don't. You absolutely don't. All right, Terrell Pryor, dealing with a bad finger, a torn ligament in his finger. He's a free agent. I think he wants to try to play, but I don't know, man. If I'm him, I shut it down right now. You're not winning. I don't know if you're going to win a game anyway. I know he wants to get a win. I know he wants to do it for Hugh Jackson. But if I'm Hugh Jackson, I say, look, dude, I think we don't need to be playing anymore. I wish I knew how bad that finger was. I would have benched him last week in one of my playoff games. Would have done that. Okay? I would have. I would have gotten rid of him. So let me give you some guys for this week. I'll give you one player at quarterback. One. My guy, this week, Matt Barkley. If you're on the waiver wire this week, I want you to look at Matt Barkley. The Washington Redskins defense was, hideous, abysmal, awful, putrid, vile, rocious. Those are the only words that are coming to me. Jonathan Stewart was running amok. Cam Newton threw for 300 yards. Do you know what it's like to get Stewart and Newton to both play well in the same game? Are you kidding me? Do you know how bad your defense must be for that to happen? Seriously. Do you know how bad it has to be for that to happen? So, Washington comes to Chicago. Chicago's still plucky. Right? But they're still fighting. Matt Barkley's fighting out there. Played pretty well last week in that frigid bowl. 362 yards, 2 touchdowns. Alshon Jeffrey's playing for a contract. Nobody told Jordan Howard to slow down. Cameron Meredith is giving it everything he's got. Man, I love Matt Barkley this week against the Redskins. Even if the Redskins dial up the defense. Come on. What are they going to dial it up to? Bad? Bad would be good for the Redskins. That's how miserable they were. They would be looking up. They look up and see rock bottom. Right? They're there's pond scum. Well, what's less than that? Whale turd. Because that's on the bottom of the sea. That's how bad the Redskins defense was. They were whale turd. Now they're looking up to being pond scum. So, I'm getting Matt Barkley into every single lineup I possibly can. I'm going to play him in DFS. I'm going to pair him with Jeffrey. I might even throw him in there with Howard. I'll just throw the 3 of them in there. What the heck? Seriously, I might just do it. So, if I'm on the waiver wire and I'm looking for a guy because I don't like the matchups that my guys currently have, I think Matt Barkley's a play this week. I do. I think he's a play. I'll give you one more play. And the rest, where did I tell you? The rest you're going to have to go to scoutfantasy.com and to the promo code ROTO. That's ROTO. You pay for 1 month. We'll get you 2 more for free. We'll start hooking you up for baseball season. But I'll give you another play right here, right now. a guy who I absolutely like this week, who I think nobody will be playing except Dr. Roto, Malcolm Mitchell. That's right, Malcolm Mitchell. Now, hold on. Before you start cursing me under your breath, Dr. Roto, you crazy? That guy sucked last week. He killed me. Oh, my God. First of all, he played the Broncos. Broncos are a great defensive team. We know that. This week, they're not playing the Broncos. They're playing the Jets. The Jets stink. The Jets are awful. They made Matt Moore look like Y.A. Tittle. They're going to make Tom Brady look like Tom Brady. Ha! I think that the Patriots go for 50 points this week. I do. I think the Patriots go for 50 points this week. Bam. I do. Tom Brady, they want the number one spot. They want the number one seed. Everything goes through New England, my friends. Tom Brady's putting up the 50 burger. LeGarrette Blount scores. Maybe Edelman scores. Maybe Marty B scores. And I think Malcolm Mitchell scores. Not once, but twice, my friends. Twice. I think Malcolm Mitchell is turning into the red zone threat that Gronk was. But I don't think they have that legitimate red zone threat right now, and I think it's Mitchell. From what I can see, we know it's not Edelman, right? And we know it's not Hogan. And Marty B is struggling sometimes to get open. But I think they're going to this quick pass to Mitchell. Have you seen that pick play that they've run a few times? They tend to run this play to Mitchell by the red zone. They like it. So against the Jets, are you kidding? This guy could score like 5 times. He probably won't, but I think he could. I mean, he won't. We know he won't, but he absolutely could. So I think a lot of people will look at Mitchell after last week and say, I hate him. I look at Mitchell after last week and say, I'm starting him. I really would. So I know you're probably, A, if your league doesn't have a waiver wire, it doesn't surprise me. That's very possible. But B, if your league does have a waiver wire, maybe there's a guy that you can replace. Maybe there's a guy who has a tough matchup. Maybe there's a guy who hasn't looked very good. Maybe there's a guy that you feel like, you know what? Nah, I'm just going to stash Mitchell on my team. I like it. I like the move there. That's what I would do. And that's what I'm going to do. One of my friends still has a league. She's in a Yahoo league. She got waivers. I will be checking out Malcolm Mitchell when this podcast is over. See if I can get him. If I can, he will be on our team. I promise you that. All right. I want to cover one last thing before we go for today. A lot of you are going to be faced with a critical choice. And the choice is, for example, let's just use this for example. I don't know. Maybe give me a guy for this week. So let's just say Joe Flacco. Just saying Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco's got the Steelers, and the Steelers have looked pretty good, right? Steelers look pretty good. But what about Matt Barkley? Dr. Roto told me Matt Barkley's good. Yes, I did. But now comes whether or not you're able to believe in what you see, or do you go with the guy who brought you there? So let's just argue, for argument's sake, that Flacco is the guy that you've had all year in your 2-quarterback league. Because obviously in a 1-quarterback league, you wouldn't have had Flacco. But in a 2-quarterback league, you have Flacco, and now you figure out, Dr. Roto told me Matt Barkley. Do I cut Flacco to play Barkley? Now, I can't tell you what to do, but I'll tell you this. You got to go with the best matchup. I know Flacco may have gotten you to the dance, but it's not about getting to the dance. It's about winning the dance. Nobody ever remembers the guy who came in second place. They only remember the guy who won. Oh yeah, I came in second place. I don't remember you. Once you get there, you got to win it. When you get there, you got to win it because it's hard to get there, guys. It's hard to get there. And we'll touch on that more tomorrow in tomorrow's podcast. I promise you, we will touch on that more because that is a critical concept in fantasy football. It's hard to get to the finals, but when you get there, You want to be relevant? You want to be relevant? You win. You want to be irrelevant? You lose. It's as simple as that. But right now it's time to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. I want to thank you for listening to this podcast. We're back tomorrow. We will break down more news and notes. We will break down the Thursday night big game between the Giants and the Eagles. And we'll try to get you to a fantasy championship. So be well. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Scout Fantasy Show. There's never been a better time to join the Scout Army. Visit scoutfantasy.com. Use the promo ROTO for 2 months free. And don't forget, fantasy players, please thumbs up the podcast on the iHeart app. See you next time. Go Scouts!